Happy Sunday, Chiefs Kingdom. It's always a great football Sunday when your team already has a win. My name is Jay Andrews. You're watching the Chiefs Report. We appreciate you tuning in. And we got a packed show for you today as we're going to take at some realistic trade targets that have been flowing around Kansas City Chiefs media. And we're going to see how likely they are to happen, along with if the Kansas City Chiefs even need to make these trades. So the first question we have to ask, though, is should the Chiefs make a trade before the trade deadline? I want you to get in the comment section and type Y for yes or type N for no if you think maybe they do or maybe they don't. Either way, we're going to have to wait and see. Brett Veach has kind of been stingy with trades in the past, and given the cap space, well, we may be in for another short-lived trade season for the Chiefs. But hey, let's get right into it with our first option, and that is Marquise Hollywood Brown, a wide receiver from the Arizona Cardinals. And I think I want to dive into Marquise a little more heavy than maybe some of the other guys by first talking about his pros and his cons to what Brown would bring to the Chiefs. The first thing is he's going to breed speed. If we look at his freaking 40 time, everything he brings to the field, it's very, very good. His route running is also excellent. And I think on top of it all, he fits well with this fast-paced, high-moving offense. Now, the cons to this is similar to what Tyreek Hill faced early in his career with the Chiefs. He's a smaller guy, and so his durability is going to be tested. Going to be an injury bug if that gets hit in the wrong spot. He's had some injury issues in the past, along with he's going to be a little bit higher of a contract than maybe some of the other guys we are going to talk about. So that cap space issue creeps in. You're going to have to cut somebody, trade somebody away with him, find a way to clear up some money, or even make a trade with the Cardinals that kind of has money in that deal included where maybe Cardinals pay off some of it, maybe you pay off a little bit of it. It just kind of depends, but that's the pros and cons of that. But you can't deny the guy. He's pretty dang good. 12-yard average on receptions. I always like to look at averages when it comes to the Chiefs just because I think that's the best number to look at. And 3 touchdowns is not bad on an offense that, well, is not supposed to be good. You have Josh Dobbs as a quarterback, and not anything on Josh Dobbs. It's just he's not an elite-level quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. Now, I kind of alluded to it in the pros and cons, but this guy is fast. He had a 40-yard dash time in the combine of 4.27. Just to put that in perspective, Tyreek Hill's combine, he had a 4.29 40-yard dash. Now, obviously, speed changes throughout the career, and Marquise Brown has had some injuries, so maybe he's not that fast anymore. But either way, the fact that he has that speed in the beginning, that's an intangible that you cannot teach. I like that, and I like what I've seen from Marquise Brown. Here's what a potential trade package would look like, though. The Chiefs would receive Marquise Brown, and the Cardinals would get a 2024 second-round pick and a 2024 conditional fifth-round pick. The problem with that, there's not really money included. Cap space then comes into question, and how are you going to work around that? Are you going to cut a receiver? Are you going to cut some other depth pieces? You're going to have to work out somewhere around that where Marquise Brown contract works. But I like this guy, and I think this is a trade, especially for a high, talented wide receiver, it could actually work. But again, I think the question has to go to all of Chiefs Kingdom because I'm just part of it. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. I want to see what we're feeling. Should the Chiefs trade for Marquise Brown? Type T for trade or type P for pass. I think I'm going to make this one the pinned comment today because he's probably the most, let's say, high-valued guy on this list. I want to know what Chiefs Kingdom is thinking because I think this one could actually work depending on money. Type T for trade or type P for pass. My grade, I'm going to give it a B+. That's what I'm going to say. And I think it should be a T for trade because I like the guy. I think he fits in well with the offense. And overall, he seems like one of those guys who can go out there and play for any team. Had the Ravens to start his career, got traded to the Cardinals. Looked pretty good when he had Kyler. Obviously got injured. Things happen. B+, I think it'd be nice, but we'll see if it actually happens. We've seen what Brett Veach does sometimes. He doesn't really make a lot of crazy moves. Let's go to the second trade target, and that is running back Chuba Hubbard from the Carolina Panthers. And I'm going to talk about him more in just a moment, but before I get to that, I'm going to tell you about my daily fantasy app of choosing, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS, and it's going to add a ton of excitement to your sports viewing experience. Watch your progress update in real time, win up to 25 times your entry amount, and cash out your winnings with quick scoring, settling, and withdrawals. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS. And Monday Night Football tomorrow, you know I'm putting in some entries. And you know my motto. If you're not doing more, you're not really living. I'm going more with Tony Pollard and a half of a touchdown, either passing, receiving, or rushing. The guy's been a menace to society. And after a kind of downfall of a game against the 49ers, I think this Cowboys offense will be up for the task, especially against a Chargers defense that is subpar at best. Dak Prescott, again, I think he may have an upward trending game as well, 1.5 passing touchdowns. I'm going to go with the more on that. I think he'll get 2, but I think exactly 2. And then, again, Justin Herbert, he's in for another 300 game. Book it right now. I'm going more with that. It's going to be locks of the century all night long tomorrow. Prize Picks is the super simple way to play. I made those picks in less than 60 seconds with Prize Picks. It's super easy, so make sure to go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. Shout out to Prize Picks. It is daily fantasy sports made easy. Let's dive back into Chuba Hubbard here. Let's look at his career stats first, because I think that's the one that we have to kind of judge him off of. 302 carries, over 1,000 yards. The average is there, 4.1, not bad, 7 touchdowns. The problem is, does he fit into this running back room? I don't think so. I don't really know where he would go. To me, he is a replica of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, I will say Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a first-round draft pick, whereas Chuba Hubbard was not that. So, does it really make sense to do this? Well, again, these aren't my trades. It's the one that's floating around. And, well, here's what the media says the Chiefs would have to do to get Chuba Hubbard. It'd be a 6th-round pick in 2024. I don't know if that's worth it for a running back that exactly doesn't – I don't know if he's really worth it, to be honest, which it's just tough, which is why I think I give this grade for this trade – I'm going to give it a C. That's where I'm thinking, where I'm going with this one, just for the simple fact of what does this do to boost your team? It's not like he's going to come in and be a home wrecker. I think he's probably right around Clyde Edwards-Helaire, probably more versatile and has more experience as a starter. But, again, it's just a third-string back. I don't really understand that one. But, hey, maybe it works out. Maybe that's the one that Brett Veach chooses. Chuba Hubbard, coming out of Oklahoma State, he looked pretty good. Maybe you try and go for it. Well, either way, if the Chiefs trade for somebody or if they don't, we're going to have you covered for the entirety of the trade deadline as it's coming up here. We're literally like 16 days away from the trade deadline on October 31st. So make sure you are subscribed and hit that little notification bell to know exactly when we post a video. That way you're never missing updates and you know exactly if and when the Chiefs make a move. Let's go to the third option, and that is Darius Slayton from the New York Giants. Now, I did not think I would be talking about Darius Slayton being a trade target for the Kansas City Chiefs at this moment, but we also didn't think that the Giants would be this bad. But hey, why not talk about it? 13 receptions for 167 yards, no touchdowns. I kind of like this. It's a receiver. It adds depth. I think he's better than Richie James. I think he's probably better than maybe a couple other guys. I think he maybe fits in well with the Justin Watson injury of, don't know how long he's going to be out just quite yet. Maybe adding him wouldn't be a bad idea. Here's what a proposed trade would look like between these two teams, as the Chiefs would, of course, get Darius Slayton, and the Giants would get a 2024 4th-round pick. Now, my grade for this one, I'm going to go a little higher than Chuba Hubbard's trade. I'm going to go C+. The reason it's C+ is because I think wide receiver is a role that is still kind of confusing on this team. And I understand that there's going to be a lot of people saying, like, well, they have Rashee Rice. The Chiefs have this. They do have fairly good young talent. The problem is you need to kind of give it a boost, give it a little push in the back of almost saying, hey, we got to get something going on this wide receiver front, because it's certainly not Patrick Mahomes' fault, and I don't think it's necessarily the offense's fault as well. It's just young talent. Well, Darius Slayton, he's the guy who come in, maybe have a little bit more of a veteran presence than Rashee Rice or Sky Moore or Justin Ross. I gave you my answer, but I want to know yours. What position do you want the Chiefs to trade for? I think it's wide receiver because I don't really know what else they need. The offensive line has been spectacular up until this point besides Jawan Taylor and his penalties. But if you look at his PFF grade, it's not that bad. He just gets penalized a lot. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, you're good on quarterback tight end. Your defense has been absolutely spectacular. So I think wide receiver is the position that is most needed right now if the Chiefs even make a move. Let me know in the comment section, though. Am I right? Am I wrong? What do you think? What position do you want the Chiefs to trade for before the trade deadline? Well, I talked about Travis Kelce saying you're good there, but guess what? A proposed trade floating around the news and rumors for the Chiefs? Well, it's tight end Noah Fant of the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I'm going to, again, go into the pros and cons of Fant just because, well, he has somewhat of an interesting take to this whole trade concept. The pros is he's got a big body, and you're going to add tight end depth, which is certainly a good thing considering you've had Travis Kelce and some injury issues this year. Not necessarily like season ending, but he had the hyperextension of the knee. He had the ankle against the Minnesota Vikings. It adds a little bit of depth, and it doesn't put so much pressure on Noah Gray, even though Noah Gray has been absolutely spectacular. Now, the cons, well, he does not fill a need. And then you kind of see the pros and cons kind of combine here. He is similar to Kelce as a pro, and he is similar to Kelce as a con. Now, why do I say that in both pros and cons? Well, it's because he is. He has a big body. He is very similar. He has an 80 number. Not that that matters. He has the exact same number. It's very similar. The thing is, he's too similar. That's why I like Noah Gray, because overall, guess what? Noah Gray is kind of a different change of pace. He's a little bit more speedy. He's a little bit guy who can go out there and maybe not exactly be the intangibles of Travis Kelce, but he has good hands. Not that Kelce doesn't. Again, it's just very similar, which I think could be a pro and it could be a con. I don't really know how that would work with already having one Travis Kelce. Not to say that Fant is anywhere close to Travis Kelce's level. Obviously, looking at these stats, they're not bad over the past 3 seasons. He had the first season, obviously, with the Broncos, which is the one that I'm going to look at most just because he was the clear-cut starting tight end that year and then was traded in the Russell Wilson trade. 674 touchdowns, that's not too bad for a guy who is pretty young. And, of course, the Iowa tight end factory is where he's produced. You got to like that. You got to like that. All right, I talked about why Noah Fant has been proposed as a trade. Well, what would the Chiefs have to give up? It would be a 2024 fifth-round pick for this trade. Noah Fant to the Chiefs, Seahawks 2024 fifth-round pick. And I don't know if you can kind of tell by my tone, but this grade is an obvious D. I don't understand why this has been floating around. It makes literal no sense. In fact, there's been other trades with other tight ends. Zach Ertz was mentioned a couple weeks ago, and I just don't understand. First of all, everybody on the Chiefs organization loves Noah Gray, so therefore, why are you trading for a backup tight end when you have Travis Kelce, when you love your backup? And then second of all, what does it do to get you a tight end? What does it gain? There's not really any benefits to that. It's not filling a need. You have a good tight end, and you have a solid backup. There's no point at all to go trade for a tight end. And I understand this is a Veach move. It would make sense. It's a first-round guy that hasn't lived up to expectations, but there's no point. Please do not waste cap space, and please do not waste Chiefs time by trading for a guy who won't play a bit. That's why I give it a D. Let's go to the fifth and final trade option, and that is Yetur Gross-Matos, and the edge rusher linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. I don't know about this one. And the fact that I don't know about it is confusing because this defensive line is great. It is. You have Karlaftis, you have Chris Jones, Nadi, Dana. But at the same time, Yetur can play both linebacker and he can play on edge rusher. And overall, I like his build. I like the stats that he's produced. And he'd be super, super cheap given the Panthers exactly aren't in a place to really expect much from their team. And honestly, they're looking for picks for anything with the way they're handling their organization. 11 tackles and 2.5 sacks. That provides some monster depth to the defensive line that would almost make this D-line. I've mentioned it time and time again. I think this is one of the top D-lines in the NFL. If you had Yetur Gross-Matos, guess what? I think this could possibly be the best tight end, or rather best defensive line in the entirety of the NFL. Now, just as the previous 4, I'm going to give you a proposed trade for it and what exactly the Panthers would expect. And that would be a 5th-round draft pick for Yetur Gross-Matos. I kind of like the trade. That's why I'm going to give this one a B-, just for the simple fact of it's cheap, it's easy, he's not going to cost you a lot of money, and on top of which, I think it makes that defensive line unstoppable. Now, you've kind of heard my opinions on the 5, and that's why I'm giving you a pick a trade for 4, because Noah Fant does not deserve to be on this list. It makes no sense why that is floating around, but I think these 4 could be a nice option, so I want you to get in the comments and pick a trade from today's video. If you think Marquise Brown would be the best option, then type MB. If you think Darius Slayton would be the best option, then type DS. If you think Chuba Hubbard would be the best option, then type CH. Or if you think Yetur Gross-Matos, giving some edge depth, would be the best option, I want you to type YM. My opinion, Give me Hollywood Brown. Because again and again, I say it over and over, I know it's not going to be Tyreek Hill, but I like what I've seen from him, and his intangibles are so there. They're there. You don't have to teach him anything besides the offense. He's shown that he can learn an offense really quick after being traded from the Ravens to the Arizona Cardinals. I love what I've seen from him, and I think overall he is the best fit and the option that could work in terms of wide receivers. If he is not the option in those four, I don't really know what you're doing because overall, again, he's not only just a wide receiver, he's wide receiver too. He can run, again, the gadget plays. He can do a lot of stuff. You put him in, you get the speed factor, you get the intangibles that you really can't get from a lot of other people. I like what I've seen from him, and I think Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes could, again, make him a wide receiver 2, a wide receiver 1, which I don't even know if the Chiefs at this point have a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2 because it's so split, thin, and dry. Everybody just gets receptions. Watson was your best guy. Well, now he's injured. Either way, if you want the Chiefs to get back to the Super Bowl, get them another ring, well, then like the video to let me know. Everybody should be spamming that like button because we all want another ring on the finger of Patrick Mahomes and a ring for all of Chiefs Kingdom. So spam that like button for me. I really appreciate it. Plus, it's going to help us out, and the Chiefs will get another ring. We really appreciate you watching today's video, but that's all I got for you. As signing off here. Peace out.